Right, hi guys, I'm here with Shanil and we are going to talk about the Insta360 One X. It's been 6 months since it's been released and we are going to tell you how to use it, what the new features are since it's been released, and show you some clips of what we've been making in the past 6 months. So Shanil has a really cool Instagram where he uses the One X. He does a lot of hyperlapse video and he's going to tell you all about it and kind of how to use it and the best settings, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, hyperlapse is when you use the One X on a selfie stick and you walk with it for a very short time. I would say about a couple of minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. And then when you play it back, you can play it back at different speeds, like 4 times speed, 8 times speed, 16 times speed. So you can show that journey in a very short amount of time.
No, so if you search in YouTube for hyperlapses, I mean, they're all really, really cool, but these take so long to make. You have to move with the camera. It takes hours and hours and hours. But with the One X, you just have to record, move, and it will create this hyperlapse effect. It's kind of almost cheating in a way. It's not, I guess, the technical hyperlapse, but it looks exactly the same. So I think it's one of the best features, I think, to use with the One X, do you think?
Yeah, I think making a hyperlapse with the One X is super easy now. All you need to do is put the camera on the invisible selfie stick and walk with it. And all the editing is done in post. Typically, DSLR users would put the tripod down, take a photo, move 1 step forward, take a photo, move 1 step forward, and you can see how impractical that is. But now, all you got to do is walk with your One X, you get your shot, all the rest of it is done in editing.
So I prefer using the One X mostly for creating virtual tours, so I actually do use the 360 element. A lot of people use this reframing footage, which is kind of how you would classify this as an action camera, but you can also use it as a 360 camera to shoot virtual tours. Now, if you want to get the absolute best quality out of this camera, you need to shoot in log mode. You would only really need to do this if you have the ability to color correct your video. So for example, if you have Premiere Pro and you want to get the absolute best quality, I would really, really recommend shooting in log mode. I have found that I really like using this mode. I really love color correcting. I can spend half an hour on one clip just trying to get it perfect. That's a nightmare for a lot of people, but for me, I personally think it's worthwhile if you want to get the absolute best quality. You can see here in some clips of before and after log mode, using log mode and color correcting. It does make a huge difference. I guess the limitation of this camera is the fact that it has small sensors like most 360 cameras do. It blows out lighter areas. It doesn't necessarily add enough saturation. So if you can, I would really suggest color correcting because you can get very good quality footage out of this camera for a relatively cheap price.
Another new feature of the One X is HDR mode.
Oh yeah, that's true. HDR mode, yeah, and
that's
also
my favorite mode.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have the ability to color correct as well, you can use HDR mode. You do need to keep the camera still, so you can't really move around with it. But if you wanted a better dynamic range, better lighting, and you didn't want to color correct, turn on the HDR mode, and it will create 3, I guess, exposures, isn't it? Yeah, 3 exposures. Yeah. Combine them together, and the video will look a lot better.
HDR mode on the One X is amazing. I need to show you this. So when I went to Valencia, I took a video of a fountain against the sun, and if you look at the footage, the fountain isn't blown out, it isn't turned black, and that's impressive, and you don't really notice it as a viewer watching it.
Yeah.
But that's the power of HDR mode. You can shoot against the sun and you can still see what you're looking at, and that is amazing.
It's one of the only cameras, or perhaps the only camera that has that HDR video mode, but yeah, that's one of the best features, one of the best new features of the One X. The One X also has a lot of accessories. Now, I know some of them aren't available and some of them are quite hard to get, but one of the ones that I think is really worth buying is the super, super long extendable selfie stick, which is here, and it works almost, I mean, it almost creates a drone-like shot when you attach the One X to this and you extend it. I mean, it's like 7 or 8 foot or something, and you put it up in the air, and it turns the selfie stick invisible, and it makes it look like you're filming with a drone. And some of the footage that I've seen shot with that is really good. We're going to go out and try it as well. We're going to show you some footage, and I think you have a tip to tell us about this that you discovered the other day.
So last time I shot with this black stopper on. You need to make sure you take it off, and when you take it off, this stick will be totally invisible when you film with this stick. And make sure you really stretch out each stem so it doesn't come crashing down at you.
Yeah, it's long. The only thing is, being in London, there aren't very many places that I've been able to use this. That's why I haven't used it a lot. You kind of need to use it in like a park or something. But when you do use it, it's really good effect. And yeah, if you're going to get an accessory, get this one. Okay, so the next feature I'm going to talk about, which does require a bit of practice. I mean, it took me a few goes to get it right. It's called time shift. Essentially what it is the hyperlapse mode, which we talked about earlier, mixed in with some slow motion. So the One X can shoot various frame rates. It's 100 frames per second at 3K, is that right? Yeah. And 50 frames per second at 4K. So you can set it to 4K at 50 frames per second, shoot a hyperlapse mode, and then in the app you can select specific points to slow it down in a slow motion shot.
Yeah, and it's really easy to do. When you're walking with the invisible selfie stick and the One X on top of it, you don't need to worry about pointing the camera at the different attractions around you because everything is being captured. And all the reframing is done in post. And in post, to make a time shift, you need to add your pivot points and then add speed, then export it. It's as simple as that.
So the last feature we're going to talk about, and this is a new feature since it's been released, it's called Stats. Now what it does, it allows you to connect the camera to your phone and then have some GPS overlays on your video. So it takes data from your phone, GPS, speed, I believe, and distance.
Elevation, slope.
Yeah, all that kind
direction.
of stuff. So if you were, I guess, riding a bike or your car or BMXing or even attaching it to a drone, you could have all this data overlaid onto your video. It looks pretty cool. It's almost like a fighter heads-up display kind of thing. You are going to mention there's some kind of caveat to that, which, I mean, may make it slightly more difficult to use.
Yeah, so when you record with Stats on, just make sure not to lock your phone because it will stop recording. And that's very hard to do when you're doing action sports because when you put the phone in your pocket or away, it's naturally going to stop recording if you haven't locked it. So that's really annoying.
Yeah, so that is kind of a downer. I mean, you need to keep your phone unlocked, which is not ideal. But if you can get it to work, then it's a kind of good addition, especially for people who do like action shots. It adds a little bit more data and a little bit more intrigue to the video. But yeah, it's annoying that you have to keep your phone unlocked the whole time. So yeah, the One X has probably been the 360 camera that I've been using the most, hence why I'm doing this kind of 6-month update. And it is probably the most popular one like ever made, just from the amount that I've seen people using it and the amount of YouTubers reviewing it, etc. So, I mean, I just wanted to help people get the most out of it and to use the camera properly. Now, I do really like this camera. It's not the best, most perfect thing in the world. I'm not going to lie. There are some things that annoy me about it. Some of the software can still be a bit buggy. Yeah. Some of it only works on iOS. Some of it only works on Android. You do have to spend a lot of time working out how to use these reframing features and stuff. But once you do it and once you kind of get into the swing of things, it is a really cool camera. It's limited by its sensor size. It's limited by many things, but some of the footage you can get out of it if you practice is really amazing. So I do recommend trying it and trying all these features that we've talked about if you already own the camera.
Yeah, I really love the One X. I think there's so many things you can do with it. That's really cool. I especially love the reframing 360 videos for Facebook and Instagram. The only thing letting it down for me is the battery life. It's such a great camera. You can get so many amazing shots, but you're limited by battery. I did a test and when I let it record from full battery, it only lasted 40 minutes. So you need to make sure that you use your time wisely and have an external power bank so that you can keep the One X running in between your shots so you can get more throughout your day.
So actually, I was going to say, what would you, if they make a sequel to this camera, which I'm assuming they will, or a next generation, what would you want it to have? What was your dream list of features for the next one?
I think HDR video when moving is going to be the next big thing, because for me, having HDR when the camera is still looks amazing. So that's going to make the video look so good and so clear, it will blow your mind. And I think that's going to be the next big feature. And please, Insta360, put some more battery power into that One X too.
Yeah, or just like, they do sell extra batteries, but they're really hard to get or something. And they're really
I mean,
hard to buy.
It's just inconvenient to keep changing batteries. So I'd rather it be a bit bigger and it takes in a bit more battery than it dying after 30, 40 minutes.
No, that's fair. Okay, I think my main, if there's a sequel to this camera, if there is another generation, I mean, a lot of people talk about resolution is the big thing, like, oh, it needs to be like 8K, 10K, whatever. I would rather the sensors be bigger. So, for example, there's a camera coming out, the Ricoh Theta Z1, that has a 1-inch sensor, and it's quite expensive, and it's expensive because 1-inch sensors are expensive. But if somehow, I don't know, these Chinese companies are very innovative, so if they could get a 1-inch sensor in the next generation and keep it roughly the same price, I think the video quality would be so much better, and it would look so good, and it would blow anything away that's currently out right now. So yeah, thank you, Shanil, for coming out to...
Thank you for inviting me.
No worries. We've been shooting with the One X, and hopefully you've enjoyed the footage that we've shown you. Shanil has an Instagram. It's really, really awesome. He uses the One X a lot to shoot videos like these hyperlapses and using the extended selfie stick. It's really, really good. So what's your Instagram so that people know?
Yeah, so check out Shanil Kawol.
Sweet. And you can check out my Instagram as well. I mostly post photos, but you can also check out, obviously, this YouTube if you are into 360 cameras and how to use them. I'm going to be doing a lot more content creation using all the cameras that I have to show you guys how to get the most out of them. So yeah, I guess that's it. We will see you around. Hopefully we'll maybe do some videos more together in the future.
Absolutely.
We're both in London, why not? So yeah, it's been great. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
See you later.